Hello, hello. Welcome to Reports from Under the Desk. My name is Chelle Wagner, and I'm so glad that you hopefully will be able to come and join me today. I don't see anybody here yet, but that's all right. I've got a presentation to bring for you, and hopefully someone will be joining me for it. And if you watch it in the future, I hope it's a blessing to you. Let me see, make sure that it is. Yep, it is going out. Okay. So what I wanted to come and talk with you about today is deception and deep fakes. And I found some interesting news articles on this. So there's deception has just become so commonplace. It's around us all the time. We are constantly being fooled, tricked, duped, deceived, faked out. It's all throughout the matrix, the web. And I wanted to just share a little bit about some of the stuff that I'm seeing, because this has just been going on for such a long time. I had seen this one book I've been reading in, and I just wanted to go into history just a little bit. It deals with, the secret symbols on our dollar bill, right? So this has just been going on since before the inception of our country. So I just wanted to read a portion out of this, and then I've got some articles and things that I wanted to share with you. So the idea, shalom, Lee and James, good to see you guys. So looking at this with this section on the dollar bill, it's talking about the foundation, it's really digging into like the 5-pointed star, the 13 stars that were put on everything. And so here it's saying the idea of the new constellation of 13 stars was probably derived from the design for the national flag, which was approved in 1777. It says on June 14th of 1777, Congress officially approved the design for a national flag consisting of 13 stripes, alternating red with white, and a union of 13 white stars upon a blue background. The arrangement of the 13 stars on the Great Seal was probably suggested by this officially approved design. I'll show you the picture there, right? Okay, so the 5-pointed star that they decided to use. The 5-pointed star is a magical symbol. The 5-pointed star is a powerful magical symbol with several meanings. It's associated with a healthy physical body and spirit. Here we shall examine only 2 of these meanings. We shall see how it's used as a symbol of health and how it's used to symbolize the passage of time. Okay, the 5-pointed pinnacle was widely used as a symbol of health, or more exactly of those forces in the body that promoted health. This form of pinnacle was popular during the Renaissance, especially as an amulet. Below is a woodcut showing an example of a ring on the bezel of which has been engraved a 5-pointed star. The star has been reproduced alongside to show clearly the letters written around it. Alongside each of the 5 rays are 5 letters, which spell out the word salus, the Latin for health. Let me show you a picture of that right here. See what it's talking about with the salus? Okay, both star and word were designed to evoke their powers to protect the health and well-being of the wearer. The symbolism behind the 5-lettered word solace was connected with the notion widely held in magical circles that a healthy physical body was the reflection of a healthy spirit. If the invisible spirit were morally healthy, then the human body would be physically healthy. On this level, the 5-pointed star represents the higher spirit. Perhaps the solace diagram, which is very ancient, is one reason why the Greek philosopher Pythagoras associated the number 5 with healing. Since the name Jesus has 5 letters, the early Christian numerologist recognized the power of the pentacle and used it as an amulet. The amulet below shows Jesus Christ standing in front of a pentacle. See it right there? It's very interesting. And if you look with the little, ray above and everything, and you think about like the Santa hat and when is this 5-star used the most, it is all out there when we see Saturnalia or the Christmas celebration come, right? You see this 5-pointed star everywhere. You'll see all the antique stores. They've taken, it's very popular in this area in the South to take barn sticks and tie them together to make this big 5-pointed star to put up on your house or on your door frame, and, you know, add the holly and the whatnot. And these things, these symbolisms are really important. And why I wanted to bring this out is because there's deception so rampant and it's so in our face all the time. It's become so commonplace that we just kind of look over it. The same thing with this, you know, what I've seen as I've been reading this book about the dollar bill. Everything in our society is so commonplace with these things, and it's been going on for a long time. Let me say hello, Alan and Lisa. Good to see you guys. Hello, Dan. So happy that you're here. Okay, so let me continue on. So the 5-pointed star is a magical symbol linked with duration and time. The connection that the 5-pointed star has with health and with the physical body is expressed in a multitude of magical diagrams. One image that was widely used by magicians was of the figure of a man inscribed within the pentagram. In such diagrams, each of the 5 points is related to one of the 5 extremities of the body: the hand, the head, the hands, and the feet. See how it's shown there? And I know I've seen this in lots of, you know, health and wellness, alternative medicine. You'll see this, other health things. You'll see this, right? It's very interesting. So in the diagram above, which is from a book on magic published in the year 1534, each of the 5 points are also associated with one of the planets, starting at the head and working clockwise. These would be Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Mercury, and Venus. Now, it's really interesting. I'm going to do a lot of digging into once we get done with Sukkot and we come back. Yah has just given me this whole series to really dig into, with kind of uncovering how these practices, it's really it all stems from ancient Canaanite religious practices. That's really where it's all stemming from. It gets renamed over and over, but the way that we're going to examine it when I start this series after Sukkot is really starting with the Nephilim and the fallen watchers and what happened in Canaan, and, you know, going into the promised land and what it is they were having to fight, why it had to be decimated, and how it is in our culture all over the place today. So we'll be taking a look at some of that. So to get back to the book, what he was reading, where he's talking about the planets, he's talking about the sequence of planets, which emerges as one follows the lines of the pentagram, is designed to reflect the days of the week. Monday, which they call Moon Day, right, is marked by the crescent moon at the center of the circle. Okay. The next day is found by following the vertical to the head to reach Mars. And this is what this diagram that he's explaining, that ancient diagram. And it's too hard to see. The picture's too small. I wish I could have found a good picture and put up for you guys. But the best I can do right now is just read it to you. All right. The next day is found by following the vertical to the head to reach Mars, which represents Tuesday. By following the sequence of the 5 lines, one passes through the order of planets that rule the days of the week. In some cases, the name of the day is associated with the name of a pagan god or goddess, as follows. And here's what he's got on here. Tuesday would have been Mars Day, and they had spell it like TIW''S, right? And it's Mars Day. So it's just a name of one of their gods. Woden's Day, Mercury, would have been Wednesday. Thor's Day, Jupiter Day, would have been Thursday. Freya's Day, Venus's Day, Friday. Saturn's Day, you know, for Saturday, right? So they take all this stuff and it just becomes part of our everyday speech. And what we're really doing, and even just talking about the days of the week, we're actually referencing back to these ancient Canaanite religious gods and goddesses, right? And this is the trickery, this is the deception that has inundated our culture. Here it says, to reach Sunday, literally Sun's day, you move from Saturn up the center of the leg to the symbol that represents the sun on the man's stomach. This is an example of how the magical pentagram or five-pointed star is linked in magic with time, that is, with the sequence of days. Yeah, so I just wanted to give you a hint with that one of where I'm going to be going in the future, something to maybe look forward to. So now I wanted to share a few other things with you, some things that I had found on deception. So let me see if I can add this to my screen. Okay. So let me see where I wanted to start here. This is really, really interesting. So I just want to share a little bit of this with you, and you guys let me know. James showed me a cooler way of doing this yesterday, but I've already forgot what he told me to do. So I'll have to get another lesson. But I wanted to share this little bit of a video with you. This is about a deep fake. Hold on, let me make sure that my sound is right. Now I'm going to play it. I'm sorry, guys. I wasn't quite ready. It's been a challenging day already. Lots going on here at Heart of the Tribe. I appreciated my friend Lee's mercy poured forth this morning. And I totally relate to kind of the heartache. We've been through some stuff that's been tough. And anyway, let me play this and you guys let me know. Yeah, let me put this up for a minute just before. See, this is what Lee's saying. That body diagram looks exactly like the body in motion drawing by Da Vinci that is still used in our anatomy books. Exactly. I knew I'd seen it. So thank you, Nurse Lee. I'm glad that you're here and that you recognized it. All righty. So let me see if I can play this for you. Okay, so what I wanted you to see from this, didn't that look just like Tom Cruise, right? This is a deep fake video. This is not Tom Cruise. Look at, let me get rid of this one. And now let's look at this one. This is the guy who actually made this video. And so this is what we're dealing with in society all over the place. And I'm finding this extremely interesting.
Tom Cruise has become a viral hit on TikTok, or has he?
That's freaky, man. We're living in freaky times right now. Looks exactly like
Okay, so that was what I'd wanted to show to you guys. I mean, it's really, really interesting. Dan was putting an article, a comment up saying, "Have you heard the Berkeley Law School has declared a no Jew zone?" That Zach Bauer just showed the article about it. It's getting bad out there. Absolutely, Dan. I haven't seen that yet, but thank you for the heads up. I love watching Zach's reports. He always does some really relevant things for what's going on in our society at the moment. So let me see. See, here is another one. Here's, Bruce Willis. So this is this article about Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis has sold the digital twin rights to his likeness for commercial video production use. According to a report by the Telegraph, this move allows the Hollywood actor to digitally appear in future commercials and possibly even films, and he's already appeared in a Russian commercial using the technology. Willis, who's been diagnosed with a language disorder called aphasia, announced that he would be stepping away from acting earlier this year. Instead, he will license his digital rights through a company called Deepfake. The company's based in Tbilisi, Georgia. That's the country of Georgia, not the state, and is doing business in America while being registered as a corporation in Delaware. And so then this is the video, the commercial that he did. It says Deepfake obtained Willis's likeness by training a deep learning neural network model on his appearances in blockbuster action films for the 1990s. With his facial appearance known, the model can then apply Willis's head to another actor with a similar build in a process commonly called a deep fake. Deep fakes have become popular in recent years on TikTok, with unauthorized deep fakes of Tom Cruise and Keanu Reeves gathering large followings. In a statement on Deepfake's website, Willis reportedly said, "I like the precision of my character. It's a great opportunity for me to go back in time. The neural network was trained on the content of Die Hard and Fifth Element, so my character is similar to the images of that time. With the advent of the modern technology, I could communicate, work, and participate in filming, even being on another continent. It's a brand new and interesting experience for me, and I'm grateful to our team." And according to Deepfake's website, the firm aims to disrupt the traditional casting process by undercutting it in price, saying that its method allows us to succeed in tasks minus travel expenses, expensive filming days, insurance, and other costs. You pay for endorsement contract with the celeb's agent and a fee for Deepfake services. This is game-changingly low. While the Telegraph report claims that Willis is the first Hollywood star to sell his rights to allow a digital twin of himself to be created for use on screen, Ars Technica could not verify that claim outside of the context of a first license with the firm Deepfake. Evidence suggests that a similar licensing precedent exists in Hollywood. Deep fakes have already been used in several Star Wars films and TV shows. For example, looking deeper, the concept of having a digital twin isn't new to Willis either. In 1998, he starred in a PlayStation video game called Apocalypse that involved digitizing his face and capturing the motion of his body as he acted out scenes. Still, it's notable to see an aging actor sidelined by illness who's willing to volunteer a digital double to work for him. James Earl Jones did so recently with his voice for Darth Vader. It's possible we'll see much more of this deepfake as deepfake technology improves, right? Very, very interesting that all this is going on. Now, I had found this one. This one's about Roger Stone. He's claiming that there's been something made of him that was not him, and he's calling it a deep fake. I can't read this article because the language in it is atrocious. It's full of F-bombs, and I'm not going to do that or even put it up on the screen. I just wanted you to see that, hey, that's out there too. Yeah, let me come back and look. So Lee says, wow, Bruce Willis sold his face. Exactly, he did. James says, I think it was someone on America Got Talent recently uses AI to virtually turn a lookalike into Elvis. Wow, very interesting. You know, I don't watch, I don't have cable. I don't watch any TV shows that so I don't have Netflix or any of that stuff. I watch some stuff on videos. Most of the time I'm studying is what I'm doing or working on stuff for Heart of the Tribe. So, there's not a whole lot of that, but it's interesting what's all going on out there. I have to, study news articles and figure it out. And then Dan is saying, I believe that they will use this technology to make Jesus come alive in St. Peter's Square, the Vatican. Dan, I am with you. That is a distinct possibility, almost absolutely that could happen. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. And I think that, this is one of the main reasons why Yahusha told us let me just stop that for a minute. Why Yahusha told us we have got to hear his voice. We can't be a people that are following after signs and wonders. That's what the masses follow after. And to be his representatives on the face of the earth, we can't allow ourselves to be drawn into this kind of deception, right? Yeah, he's saying that Dan's saying the Pope has already used the technology. I was not aware of that. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so let me go on to my next thing here. So here is a really interesting article. I'm going to see if I can blow it up a little. Okay, this is by Global Research, Masters of Deceit. I blew it up too much. It's cutting off half of it. Okay. All right. So I won't be able to read it looking at the camera. I'll have to, let me do this. Hold on. Let me see if I can make it bigger this way and read it to you guys as we go through. All right. Okay. So Masters of Deceit, the U.S. government's propaganda of fear, mind control, and brain warfare. This is from Global Research. This article was put out on September 22nd of 2022. So it's very recent. The MK Ultra, it's got that right here, All Global Research articles can be read in 51 languages. Okay, I don't want to read that part. That's just telling you how to follow them. All right. It is the function of mass agitation to exploit all the grievances, hopes, aspirations, prejudice, fears, and ideals of all the special groups that make up our society, social, religious, economic, racial, political. Stir them up, set one against the other, divide and conquer. That's the way to soften up a democracy. This is by J. Edgar Hoover, and it looks like a book, Masters of Deceit. The U.S. government has become a master of deceit. It's all documented too. This is a government that lies, cheats, steals, spies, kills, maims, enslaves, breaks the laws, overreaches its authority, and abuses its power at almost every turn, treats its citizens like faceless statistics and economic units to be bought, sold, bartered, traded, and tracked, and wages wars for profits, jails its own people for profit, and has no qualms about spreading its reign of terror abroad. Worse, this is a government that has become almost indistinguishable from the evil it claims to be fighting, whether that evil takes the form of terrorism, torture, drug trafficking, sex trafficking, murder, violence, theft, pornography, scientific experimentations, or some other diabolical means of inflicting pain, suffering, and servitude on humanity. With every passing day, it becomes painfully clear that this is not a government that can be trusted with your life, your loved ones, your livelihood, or your freedoms. Okay? I'm not going to read this whole article. I wanted it to be up here for you guys so that you can find it, and we'll put the links for all of these things in what's below. But here, let me get back to where I was. Sorry, it takes me a while to navigate sometimes. All right. Okay, we'll do it like that for now. So anyway, I wanted you guys to be able to see the link, and then we'll add the link into this once I'm done with the video. But I wanted you to see that that was there because I think it's interesting. You know, one thing that is really concerning me is this whole show, Stranger Things. It's drawing in the young people, and when you have a society that embraces things that seem commonplace, because this stuff has been like this is why I was showing this thing of the dollar bill. You know, the dollar bill is common. We use it all the time. The days of the week, it's common. We say them all the time. You know, all these things that have been inserted into our society, and everybody thinks they're okay. I mean, did you guys know, literally, it was illegal in the early 1800s. It was illegal to have a Christmas celebration because everybody knew it was pagan. Everybody knew that had come here, you know, and it was at that point. But look to where our society is, and the things, you know, even when I do still have Amazon Prime, and if I want to watch anything on Amazon Prime, which there's almost nothing left there to watch, right? I'm considering totally just getting rid of that one too. It's all trash, you know, but sometimes I guess it's good to see even what's going on. But, you know, even when you just turn it on, you're inundated with all the demonic programs just coming at you. It's commonplace in our society. And this particular show, this Stranger Things, is really concerning me because the young people of our society, it's targeting children. It's done with children. Yeah. There you go. Let me put up Lee's comment here. She's saying, yes, Christmas was illegal and Coca-Cola brought it back to make money. And this is an interesting fact here. The cocoa in Coca-Cola, I believe up right until the early 1900s, was such a popular drink because it had cocaine in it, right? And they made a ton of money off of that, you know, but it used to literally contain cocaine. Yeah. And so here's this one. Stranger Things is about opening portals to hell. So let me read this article here about the Stranger Things. Let me see if I can navigate and make it bigger again. All right. So let's read this one together. And let me remove this for a minute. Yep. Cocaine. It sure was. All right. So this is interesting. Stranger things happen from mind control, brainwashing, and monsters. Theories claim stranger things happened in real life in a secret government project. U.S. government's top secret Montauk project, and this is an article from The Sun. So U.S. government's top secret Montauk project allegedly involved kidnapped kids, mind control experiments, and time travel. And this is from October 21st of 2017, okay? Spine-chilling stories about the sinister goings-on at Camp Hero Air Force Base in Montauk have long been the stuff of local legend. Since the 70s, tall tales have surrounded the derelict facility in Long Island, New York. The Netflix sci-fi hit Stranger Things strikes a similarity to the Montauk project. Most concern the U.S. government's top secret Montauk project, which, so the stories go, involved kidnapped kids, mind control experiments, time travel, psychic brainwashing, aliens, and a petrifying otherworldly beast. If this all sounds familiar to fans of Emmy-winning Netflix sci-fi hit Stranger Things, that's because the experiments which allegedly took place in Montauk are an inspiration for the show. Stranger Things, which stars Winona Ryder, 45, and returns for a second series on October 27, was originally titled Montauk. But creators, the Duffer brothers, Matt and Ross, ditched that name and transferred the setting to a fictional town of Hawkins, Indiana. They declined to explain why. Series 1 centered on a missing boy trapped in another dimension, a powerfully psychic girl called 11, who escapes from a secret government research lab and dark experiments which unleash a terrifying monster that stalks the town. It sounds far-fetched, but has chilling echoes of real-life reports surrounding the Montauk Project. Preston Nichols from Long Island claims he was an electrical engineer in Montauk in the early 80s. He said, I found myself on this screwball project, which became known as the Montauk Project. Wow. Wow. And it says underneath the caption of that picture that U.S. Congress allegedly shut down the project after fears of mind control techniques. We began to look at how you could interface minds with computer systems. The idea being you could fly a fighter plane by pure thought. But it soon evolved into developing a mind control device. They wanted to flip a switch and have everyone respond to a computer program. While they never found a signal that worked universally, they were able to target individuals very well. Later, it was discovered that if the individual whose mind was powering the machine could think of other time periods, this machine could generate a vortex there, essentially a time machine. So this article goes on quite a bit. It looks very disturbing. I wanted to just share this with you guys. And like I said, I'll leave the link in the description. I'm not going to do the whole thing. Yeah, James has put up there, CERN. Yeah, you got it. There's so much stuff going on. There's so much deception. All right, so I am going to get done with that part and shut that. Trying to get to what else I wanted to share with you guys and bring that up on my computer. All right. So basically, we're dealing with a lot of emotional manipulation. You know, I've read lots of articles recently about the way, Shalom, Sherry, good to see you. I have read lots of articles recently about how when we sit in front of this programming, right, our brain enters a different state and we become very susceptible to what it is that's being pushed our way, and that this is what has happened. Now, what I find interesting with all this is that the time that we live in, that with it being as in the days of Noah, where every thought of man was wicked all the time. Well, all of this stuff is being controlled, of course, by the fallen watchers, the fallen Meleks, you know, the rebellious elder race is somehow sometimes what I like to call them. Timothy Alberino did a great book called Birthright, which is very, very interesting, and he describes them that way. And in the new series I'm going to start after Sukkot, I'm going to be digging a lot of that information, you know, from the past out of this to see what effects that's having on our society today. What people don't understand, you know, they're still telling us, oh, it's just entertainment. Oh, we just do Halloween to have fun. We just do, you know, these things. It's all innocent. We don't mean anything by it. Well, the thing is, everybody's being programmed, and these things are going to begin manifesting big time. I mean, it's really, really like, you know, that frog in the pot of boiling water. You know, if you throw a frog into boiling water, it's going to jump out. If you put a frog in warm water and heat it up slowly, it's going to become very relaxed, like it's on its little hot tub, until it boils itself to death. Right? Because that energy, it gets so relaxed and it's just, oh, this is just all done for my good. Isn't this just such a nice warm bath? And that's literally like what's going on with what's being cast out at us. And we've got to be very aware of it. And so I did want to go into a little bit of what I found in scriptures. I've shared some of this previously on Walking in the Word, but I had some new information. So, that was the front part of this was my news report. The now from here on out, I'm looking at some scriptural solutions. So sometimes people just want to hear the news. Sometimes they like to learn a little bit more and become a bit wiser. So I'm going to add this to the screen. So there's a lot of emotional manipulation that goes on, and it goes on within us as let me change this so you guys can still see me too. All right, let me see, how can let me go back here and just all right, if I'm sharing my screen, how was I doing this before? There we go, that's better. All right, and let me change this so it looks a little better for us. It's like I've forgotten how to use my computer today. All right. Okay. All righty. So, emotional manipulation. This is happening through technology. It's happening through family. It's happening through churches. It's happening through religious systems. It's happening all over. It's happening in people that have undealt with trauma. This is the value. I hope you guys are watching Laura Lee's show, because she's really digging into it. It gives us huge insight on understanding maybe why people are susceptible the way they are. And a lot of people, even within the body of Yahusha, that choose, they are hurt. You think about it, most of us come to Yahusha because of we've been wounded, and we know that he's the lover of our soul, and we come face to face with our sin, and we realize that we need him, but we come in with all of our baggage, and in order to heal, it's like he starts peeling this onion, right? One thing at a time, peel away this layer, and you have to face who you are, what has happened in your life, maybe where you're off kilter, and deal with it. And one way people will avoid that is blaming everything else and using, like people who won't deal with things, they use emotional manipulation to try to steer things their way, and there's a self-justification in it that is very self-deceptive. And so as we're coming into Yom Kippur, it's good to look at these things ourselves, and if there's something that we're avoiding, if there's something that Yah is trying to get us to deal with, I'm here to tell you, don't be afraid of the healing process that Yah will take you through. It's hard. It's not easy. It comes with a lot of snot and tears, at least in my life, but it's so worth it, because what happens when we walk out of that stuff, when he shows us the patterns that we've been in, and shows us and tells us that we can be free, and shows us how to walk out, it helps us to have more compassion for others. It helps his spirit to increase in us, and for that part of us that wants to operate in that worldly system, that ancient Canaanite manipulative system, it kills the ability of that system to rule over us, right? When we are willing to take these things to the Father and not have these things and not operate that way ourselves. Okay, so let's look at so I'd written in here, we have to follow the ruach of yahuah and not manipulation. Hasatan will use your closest relationships, your biggest concerns, right? The people that you love the most to manipulate you with. Okay. And so it's wise of us to be discerning these patterns of deception. There's a spirit of servitude, it'll come at you many times in a good way. You see this in the book of Nehemiah, which is what Laura Lee and I are going to be going through at 2:30 today, 2:30 Eastern time. Shalom, Judy. Good to have you with us here. Yeah. Let me, I want to just show a few comments. Sherry was saying they don't even realize they're dancing with the devil. Absolutely. Absolutely. That deception, the way it operates, Lee and I were talking about this, and deception in itself, that when you are being deceived, you don't even realize, that you are being deceived. That's the whole thing of deception. You're being deceived, and it's very hard to discern, right? Dan says, I danced on the Devil's Lake. I'll never make that mistake again. Cat Stevens, The Wind. Great song. Yeah. That's from my era, Dan. Shalom, Judy. Good to see you. Okay. So there is this, it'll come through sometimes this way with a spirit of servitude. Oh, you're so wonderful. Everything you do is wonderful. Just that fawning, it's almost too nice, almost too good to be authentic, too like dripping with that, syrupy sweetness, right? And it's usually not real, because in this day and age, it's just watch out for the syrupy sweetness, right? And then there's chicanery, which means I'm going to use a trickery to deceive you. Okay. There's officious attention, being excessively forward and offering one's services or advice to others, especially when these services are unnecessary or unwanted. But, sometimes the services really are needed, and you're hoping someone is with you and wanting to be with you. But I guess we have to watch out. We just sometimes don't know motives until they become revealed. So I'm learning through this ministry to keep my guard up. That's not my natural thing. My natural tendency is very welcoming, very trusting, and I'm having to learn to be a bit more discerning myself. Okay, so to be fair in seeming, trying to seem as if you're something that you're not, being fake to cause things to turn to your favor. So, it's just putting on a persona, right? So I have to ask myself this question: am I being deceived? Deception by nature means that those who are experiencing don't realize it. Anyone can be subject to deception. 1 Timothy 4:3-4 tells us, for the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lust shall they heap to themselves teachers having itching ears, and they shall turn away their ears from the truth, and shall be turned unto fables. And, this is the culture that we live in, and it's infected our churches and our communities. And, this is what we've got to check everything out and really spend that time with Yahusha in prayer and asking, right? So what is deception, and in what ways do the scriptures show it manifesting? We were talking about fawning a minute ago, and seeking favor by flattery, a servile way of behaving, halak, right? And I put it there in the paleo for us. So flattery, that's what that word is, halak. Let's look at Ezekiel 12:24. For there shall be no more any vain vision nor flattering divination within the house of Yasharel. That's our promise. That's what's coming. Yah himself's going to end up doing away with this mess, but we're not there yet. In Proverbs 5:3, it says, for the lips of the strange woman drop as a honeycomb, and her mouth is smoother than oil. So the strange woman in the Hebrew is the word zur, right? We've got a Zion right here, it looks like a plow, and other pictographs, it can look like the paleo, it looks like an axe head. It's a cutting instrument, right? And then it's got connected to the thoughts, the thought life, the resh, right? Man's the chief of man. What is our chief? Our thoughts, our mind directs where we're going to go. This is why we're told we really need to have the mind of Yahusha. Okay, so this word zur, a plow or weapon that cuts, destroys, is connected to the thoughts that come from the mind of men and their leaders or chiefs, right? The brown, that was, okay, so this is Chelle's definition. What is it? Let me see here. I need a sign. Let me see if I can find it. There it is. I report, you decide. All right. So there it is. Okay. So a plow or weapon that cuts, that destroys, is connected to the thoughts that come from the mind of men and their leaders or the chiefs. So in the Brown Driver Briggs, to be stranger or a stranger, to become estranged, a loathsome breath. Now we know that breath is can also be ruach, right? So a loathsome ruach, a prostitute or a harlot, one who is alienated. Okay, and here's where that starts. Okay, so in the etymological dictionary of the biblical Hebrew, it says that zor is to separate out for others. So this gives us the function. What is it done? Why was it done? It's in order to separate. Okay. All right. So this is really the exact opposite of what Yahusha is doing right now. This is the time of regathering. He is regathering us back. I'm currently in the middle of recording the book of Isaiah, which we're going to be releasing over Yom Kippur, and to play throughout Yom Kippur. And the reason is because it's Yahuah Zavaot talking throughout. And you can see all the promises of his regathering. It kind of tells why we've had the troubles that we've had as his people and how he's going to bring us back together. And it's going to be a bumpy ride. It's already a bumpy ride because we are living through this process right now. Okay, so moving on. If you want to see an example of this, look at the 1 Kings 22, where Ahab and the false prophets. It's a story about Ahab and the false prophets. So if you really want to dig into the scriptures for this, that's a good one to go to. Let me put my comments back on here for a minute so I can see you guys. All right. Chicanery. Trickery or deception by quibbling or sophistry, a quibble or subterfuge used to trick, deceive, or evade. So to quibble means to use ambiguous or irrelevant language or arguments for the purpose of evading a point that's at issue. And you can see this. Some people are really good at this. You ask them a question and they just come back at you with this expansive language, but they never really answer your question because they sound so sophisticated. And what they said was such a huge, long, thing. I've been watching this. If you look at any of the, when Rand Paul is questioning Anthony Fauci right now and the what's been going on lately, I guess that was all like maybe last week or the week before. Like I said, I don't plug in that often to what's happening in the world because I'm pretty busy doing what I'm doing, but I've seen clips of that and you can see it in the questions are asked, but they're never answered, right? It's always just this, it's quibbling. It's ambiguous, irrelevant language. It sounds so wonderful. It sounds sophisticated. It sounds intelligent, but it's trickery because you're never answering a question. Another good look at at some of these very deceptive things was the story of King David and Uriah. It's in 2 Samuel 11. So another thing is looking at this word ambiguous. It's a synonym for being obscure, right? So that's what's happening. Something is ambiguous language. It's obscure language. It's hard to figure out. It's like, it's just like, here's what it sounds like. Let me play this for you.
The hell's he doing?
That's how it makes you feel. It's like, what the heck did he just say? Nobody knows for sure, right? Okay, so let's look here. Wisdom of Solomon 4:12. For the bewitching of wickedness obscures things that are honest, and the wandering of lustful desire undermines the simple mind. Lee, I'm sorry. This is funny. I'll play that clip again because Lee and I have been laughing and laughing over this clip.
The hell's he doing?
It's from Sandlot, which is one of my favorite movies, and mine and Robert's favorite movies. And we have just laughed and laughed and laughed over that particular thing because that's what we feel so many times when we're looking at things. It's just like, I don't know what just happened there. All right. Okay. So getting back to the scriptures. Wisdom of Solomon 4:12. For the bewitching of wickedness obscures things that are honest, and the wandering of lustful desire undermines the simple mind. I love this book, The Wisdom of Solomon. I mean, it's just, there's so much wisdom in there, right? And to think about that, you know, how obscures things. It can take something that is pure, right? It can take something that is very pure and honest, right? And it just fractures it and makes it crazy, you know? And it's a lustful desire to undermine purity, I know my husband was asking me, I know he's getting ready to do a presentation on purity, and I can't wait to see what he does because he was asking me to help him map out the odiote with it. So he just let me have a glimpse at his notes, so I can't I can't wait to see what he does. Yeah, let me show. Yeah, here we go. Yep. I'm not going to read it out, but you guys can see Dan's comment here, you know, about Fauci. Okay. Yeah. And Lee's saying, yep, what the heck's he doing? False Fauci knows exactly what he's doing. Yeah. Undermine purity. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's very interesting here. So now sophistry, a subtle trickery, using a false argument, presenting something in a way that, yeah, that's plausible. Yeah, that could happen. That could be the way it would be done, right? So presenting something in a way that's plausible, but it's done by using a method of reasoning that is logically unsound because it contains a fallacy within it, right? That fallacy, it's trying to wrap a story to make something seem okay, but at the heart of that thing is already something that is false. Okay. This is deception. It's deceptive and misleading. And so the following scripture shows this is used by the false priest to obtain money. And this is out of Ezekiel 22, starting in verse 23. Again, a message came to me from Yahuah, Son of man, give the people of Yasharel this message. In the day of my indignation, you will be like a polluted land, a land without rain. Your princes plot conspiracies just as lions stalk their prey. They devour innocent people, seeking treasures and extorting wealth. They make many widows in the land. Your priests have violated my instructions and defiled my holy things. They make no distinction between what is holy and what is not. And they do not teach my people the difference between what is ceremonially ceremonially clean and unclean. They disregard my Shabbat days so that I am dishonored among them. Your leaders are like wolves who tear apart their victims. They actually destroy people's lives for money. And your prophets cover up for them by announcing false visions and making lying predictions. They say, my message is from the sovereign Yahuah, when Yahuah hasn't spoken a single word to them. Even common people, listen to this, even common people oppress the poor, rob the needy, and deprive foreigners of justice. Now, why would this be the case? Shalom, Tammy, good to see you. Why would this be the case? Because it filters down. When this has become the norm of society and the leadership, and has embraced this, and even what's supposed to be the household of Yasharel begins to embrace these practices, because it's become commonplace and it has trickled down to even somebody else. You may be in the same position. You may both be just common people who are trying to, make a way in this world, and you begin to bite and devour one another. It says, even common people oppress the poor, rob the needy, and deprive foreigners of justice. So let's look at this. Deception through trickery. To trick is a crafty or underhanded device or maneuver or stratagem. It's setting out to deceive or cheat by using a ruse or optical illusions. That's what we were looking at in these videos, with these deep fakes, right? It's using optical illusions. It's being wily or using wiles to entice, entrap, ensnare. It's using purposeful and artful behavior to beguile with deceit and trickery. And this is what we're seeing. It's so easy with the technology today. We just saw the examples. Anything can be put before you. This is why don't go by anything you see. Take everything to Yahusha and get in a still, quiet place and ask him to speak to you concerning what the truth or untruth about anything. We just don't. He's really teaching me, be very careful. Don't react impulsively. Try to sit back, give things a little bit of time till I tell you what's happening, and then you can be decisive, right? But make sure that you've heard from me first. Wisdom chapter 2. I just picked out a couple of verses here so that we can see it. If you have the chance, look at the book of the Wisdom of Solomon, right? Out of the Sefer, or probably out of some other translations too. It's one of in the Apocrypha. It's considered by some the lost books of the Bible. Some consider it extra biblical. I think it should have been in there all along. I love these books, and so this one, I believe I typed this right out of the Sefer. Okay. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 1 says, for the wicked said, reasoning within themselves, but not aright. Our life is short and tedious, right? And it goes on with their reasoning. If their life is short and tedious, why shouldn't we grab everything that we want right now? And so then they come to this conclusion in Wisdom 2:6. Come on, therefore, let us enjoy the good things that are present. It's like, well, if we're going to die anyway, we may as well get all the fun we can have right now. That's the reasoning of the wicked. Okay. Then beginning in Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 10, let us oppress the poor righteous man. Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the aged. You can see this in our culture big time, that people have no respect for leadership whatsoever. They're just not going to work with leaders or elders in any amount of respect whatsoever. It's really hard for me to find people that honor others. It's a rare thing on the earth right now. And that can be, it presents its own problems. All right, picking back in verse 11. Let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth. Therefore, let us lie in wait for the righteous, because he's not for our turn, and he is clean. Right there, purity, right? Purity. He is clean, contrary to our doings. He upbraids us with our offending the Torah, and objects to our infamy, the transgressings of our education. They're saying this is something I've been talking about. Simply us, even within this circle of believers, people have been getting offended with me from the church system within my own family for over 20 years, because I said, I'm not going to worship on Sunday. I'm going to honor the Shabbat in my life. I didn't point a finger at them saying, you're wrong and you need to do it my way. All I did was say, I've looked at that. I know that that's wrong for my life to continue to do the Sunday thing and all the pagan holidays. I can see it for myself. I'm stepping away from it, and this is what I'm going to do. By my decision to do what I see is right, people have become offended with me, right? Because just me taking a stand to do what I know is right pushes on their button, and they're saying, you're upbraiding us with our offending the Torah. You're saying that we're wrong. You're saying you follow the Torah makes us wrong. And I haven't said a word to them except, I see this, so I'm going to do it, right? But they take great offense and use it as self-justification to sling arrows and stones and whatnot my way, right? That's what people do, because they don't want to deal with things. So, okay. All right, so I'm in verse 13. He professes to have the knowledge of Elohim, and he calls himself the child of yahuah. He was made to reprove our thoughts. He's grievous unto us, even to behold, for his life is not like other men's. His ways are of another fashion. That's it. My ways aren't according to the ways of this world. When we just taking the Shabbat, just honoring the Shabbat, just being someone who won't go out and shop on Shabbat or do trade or engage in business on Shabbat, right, is enough to cause people to go into a tizzy. Well, who do you think you are? And that's just what it was. His ways are of another fashion, and that's what they're saying to us. They don't like it when we stand for righteousness. And so this is the wicked speaking in chapter 2 of Wisdom of Solomon, verse 16. We are esteemed of him as counterfeits. He abstains from our ways as from filthiness. He pronounces the end of the just to be blessed and makes his boast that Elohim is his father. Now remember, this manifests through people, but we've got to remember what it is that's stirring it up. Look at Ephesians 6:12, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places, right? It manifests through humans, but it's always being stirred up, by the Nephilim, by the elder race that rebelled, the rebellious part of the elder race, right? All right. Going back to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 17. Let us see if his words be true, and let us prove what shall happen in the end of him. For if the just man be the son of Elohim, he will help him and deliver him from the hand of his enemies. Let us examine him with despitefulness and torture, that we may know his meekness and prove his patience. Let us condemn him with a shameful death, for by his own saying he shall be respected. Such things did they imagine and were deceived, for their own wickedness has blinded them. See, they justify torturing the righteous, saying, well, if Elohim really is for them, he'll deliver them, right? And they were deceived. All right, Wisdom 2:22. As for the mysteries of Elohim, they knew them not, neither hoped they for the ways of righteousness, nor discerned a reward for blameless souls. They don't see that the reward is waiting for us as we endure these things with patience and taking them to Elohim and doing the best that we can. Yes, Judy, I love that. When we shine out of obedience to yahuah, we illuminate their darkness. That's so insightful, Judy. Thank you for sharing that. That was so well worded. That's exactly what's happening, right? All right. So now picking up in Wisdom 2:23, for Elohim created man to be immortal and made him to be an image of his own eternity. Nevertheless, through envy of the devil. Okay, so what happened? What happened with Adam and Eve? That fruit of the knowledge of good and evil. You'll be like us, right? You'll be like an Elohim with a little e, knowing good from evil. You'll be like one of the elder race, not just human, but you'll have our abilities. And there was an envy that came through with Eve and Adam in order to partake of that, right? They had to, that fruit of knowledge was dangled in front of them and they wanted it. Okay. That's envying what the fallen watchers had, the abilities that the fallen watchers had. So it says it right here. Nevertheless, through envy of the devil came death into the world, and they that do hold of his side do find it. But the souls of the righteous are in the hand of Elohim, and there shall no torment touch them. So just looking here at Matthew 10, I'm not going to take the time to read all of this again. It's about being sent forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. It's Matthew 10:16 through 22, right? It ends with being, Yahusha telling us that we shall be hated of all men for his name's sake, but we are to endure until the end. And it's talking in there. Yeah. Brother will deliver up brother, father, child. This is the time period when this is rampant on the earth, what it will be like. So let's take a look at wisdom. Wisdom is the ability to discern between good and evil and all the little shades and nuances that approach good and evil. Pretending that evil does not exist is self-deception that has no resemblance to courageous faith. I don't know if you guys have ever listened to any commentaries by David Guzik. He has a lot of commentaries on YouTube. He goes through the Bible bit by bit, and I've learned a lot from watching his. Do I agree with everything? No, I think that his, he's still got a different, view on a lot of things, but he's a good scripture studier, and I've learned a lot. And I loved this comment that he had made. He said, in hours of darkness and grief, true prophets hold out hope to the children of Elohim. He uses God, So in hours of darkness and grief, true prophets hold out hope to the children of God. Opportunistic prophets manufacture their message to suit the hour. There's deception, right? Okay. Let's look at something out of Sirach, chapter 3, starting in 17. My son, go on with your business in meekness, so shall you be beloved of him that is approved. The greater you are, the more humble yourself, and you shall find favor before yahuah. Many are in high place and of renown, but mysteries are revealed unto the meek. For the power of yahuah is great, and he is honored of the lowly. Seek not out things that are too hard for you, neither search the things that are above your strength, but what is commanded you. Think thereupon with reverence, for it is not needful for you to see with your eyes the things that are in secret. Be not curious in unnecessary matters, for more things are showed unto you than men understand. For many are deceived by their own vain opinion, and an evil suspicion has overthrown their judgment. This is what I see happening in the body. When we don't deal with our own, I'm going to remove this just for a minute so I can talk to you about this, because this is really the heart of the matter for me and what I see going on right now. We got a lot of hurting people in the body of Yahusha. And when we won't deal with those traumas from our past, this is what I was talking about earlier. Self-deception can enter in. It usually manifests best as a religious spirit. You see this rampant in the Torah community. A lot of it, when we realize that we have been lied to, and we've all kind of come out of that. I remember that I mean, when I first came into recognizing that it was Torah was important in my life, the feasts were important in my life, the Shabbat was important in my life. You know, this was back in 2002. So it's been 20 years for me since Yah revealed this. And it was at this time of year because I'd spent the summer studying a book that my daughter wanted to use for homeschooling called A Family Guide to the Biblical Holidays. Right. And so I'd spent all summer studying this book so that we could go use this as our Bible study guide because that's what she wanted to learn. And so I'd spent all summer studying it, and Yah started showing me, this is for you. And I had a position as a pastor in a fairly large church. I mean, we had a good 500-600 members, you know, and so I was the pastor of fine arts. I worked for the worship pastor. I directly reported to him, and he liked to do huge productions, huge musical productions. And so I did all the fine arts that were associated with that, whether it was working with people to create banners, to create pageantry, working with a group of dancers, working with a group of actors, writing plays and the scenes that would fit the musical production that he was doing with his, you know, chorus. That was my job. And I loved it. It was so much fun. But it was at the time we went through, I invited after spending the summer reading this book and studying this and realizing it was the Feast of Trumpets, I invited him and his wife over for a quiet dinner with my daughter and I to have a Feast of Trumpets dinner and talk to them about everything that we had learned. And when we did, he was so excited about what I shared with him. He was like, let's do something then for Sukkot. Let's do a night of celebration, a night of worship. And we did. And it was so much fun. But then the next thing on the clock was the singing Christmas tree and me directing a drama in front of it. And so I had all of, you know, I'd had all this download from Yah about realizing what we were doing in the paganistic ways. And I'm trying to direct this drama in front of the singing Christmas tree with all this fresh revelation of truth. And I just felt like I was being punched from the inside. You know, when you're very pregnant, you know, at the end of a pregnancy and that baby has learned to kick and make its presence very, very known. You know, when it just starts, it's like this sweet little fluttering butterfly in your, you know, in your abdomen. But once the baby's getting ready to be born, it's like it's trying to punch its way out of you sometimes, doing a little dance, right? And so that's what it began to feel like. It becomes very uncomfortable because Yah was about to bring to birth something completely different in my life, which was Heart of the Tribes, which, you know, became born in 2004. That was when this whole thing was given to me, and he downloaded to me the message about the tribes and told me they're alive and well, and that he was going to bring his people out and explain the greater Exodus to me, and showed me so many different things, right? And it really caused a huge separation. I didn't fit very well in the church, you know, at all at that point. I remember I got to do one more thing with the kids after he, you know, downloaded that to me. I got to do a lock-in with the kids, and that was so much fun, and let them create their banners. But anyway, I'm getting way off track. But we kind of come face to face, right? so when I went talking about this deception and hurting people, hurting other people, when he did this, and I knew, I couldn't fit inside the church system anymore. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to go, try to find a messianic congregation. Well, I remember it was the second one I tried, because the first one didn't go well at all. They basically told me that if I couldn't prove my Jewish lineage, which I knew I didn't have any, as far as I know, I'm not from the tribe of Judah, right? I'm probably from one of the other ones, or I may just be, a complete pagan foreigner that Yah has to say, well, because you love me and now you're a part of the household of Yasharel, I'm going to put you in this tribe, right? I mean, that may be how it works out. That may be why I'm very drawn to Zebulun. I feel like Yah has told me that that's the tribe that I belong to. Now, whether that it was by my physical genealogy or by the fact that, he just decided to assign me to that one, even though I come out of total pagan whatever, I don't know. He can explain that to me later, right? So anyway, getting back to this self-deception, when I first came to the second place that I went to, the second congregation I tried to go to, they were all Hispanic, but they were lovely people. But there were one or two people that were English speaking. And the like one of the only other ladies that would have been my age that spoke English that I could have maybe, started teaching me or tried to help me. The first thing that she did, she was so nasty. She shoved this book in my set and said, you need to read this. And it was this book by Lou Wright, and it was explaining everything, that was pagan being done in the church system, which ended up being great information. But the way she delivered it, because you don't know anything, you've been doing all this stuff, and people with a religious spirit don't tend to like me. And it's because I have a lot of freedom in my relationship with Yah. I am a worshiper. That is my first commission. I was a flag minister and doing all the dance and the flags and the pageantry and everything. And I have a lot of freedom. I have a lot of creativity, and Yah has given that to me. That's been his gift to me. But it makes people with a religious spirit, they don't like me. They don't like me at all. People that are real Torah terroristic, they don't like me, and I know it. But what I've noticed from following that, it's not that they don't like me. It's that they don't like the freedom they see in me because they don't understand it. Because rather than deal with the trauma of their past and the areas where they're wounded, people will, this is another form of addiction. And Laura Lee hopefully is going to be digging into more of this for us. We're trying to dig into this some. They will take this real strict religious stance, whatever flavor they've grabbed onto, whether it's King James Bible only, I've seen it manifest that way. Whether it's, we don't wear any makeup, you have to dress this way, whatever it is, and they just become so terroristic about it with their particular flavor that they can't stand to see people with freedom. And I know when I see that behavior, it's covering something up. They're using it as a front, as a wall, right? Because they're not going to let you see what's really on the inside. But it is a form of self-deception. Okay. Yeah. And I will show this. Yeah, the tribes were scattered because they were following the pagans. Many of us came out of paganism. Absolutely, Sherry. Absolutely. All right, so let me add this back. And this is my last little bit. And then I'm going to end because I got to come back on with Laura Lee in just a little bit here. All right. So Ezekiel 28, right? Everybody's familiar with this. Okay. This is all about the passage where, Yahuah is dealing with the fallen watcher, right? Okay, so it says, then this further message, the adversary, then this further message came to me from Yahuah. Son of man, sing this funeral song for the king of Tyre. Give him this message from the sovereign yahuah. You were the model of perfection, full of wisdom and exquisite in beauty. You were in Eden, the garden of Elohim. Your clothing was adorned with every precious stone. And it goes into all the different stones. For time's sakes, I'm skipping over that. All right. Down to chapter 28:14, I ordained and anointed you as the mighty angelic guardian. You had access to the holy mountain of Elohim and walked among the stones of fire. You were blameless in all you did from the day you were created until the day evil was found in you. Okay, it's in him. Your rich commerce led you to violence, and you sinned. So I banished you in disgrace from the mountain of Elohim. I expelled you, O mighty guardian, from your place among the stones of fire. Your heart was filled with pride because of all your beauty. Your wisdom was corrupted by your love of splendor. So I threw you to the ground and exposed you to the curious gaze of kings. You defiled your sanctuaries with your many sins and your dishonest trade. So I brought fire out from within you, and it consumed you. Okay, this is the curse. It's coming from the midst of his being. Okay, I reduced you to ashes on the ground in the sight of all who were watching. So looking at this, here's what I'm seeing. Here's my study of this. When I look at this within you, all right, some translations say in the midst of you. Okay, the word in Hebrew is tavak. It is H8432. It's the middle of your being, the core of who you are. And when it says, I brought fire out, so we've got a fire. To me, I see a fire of division. So I wanted to look at this in the pictograph, right? We've got a covenant connecting our thoughts. Okay, so the covenant you connect with in your thoughts. This is tavak. This is in the midst. It's like, I've heard Nietzsche explain it as an antonym and the antonym and the contronym, right? You've got, it can go either way when you look at this word, this tavak, right? The midst. Whatever covenant you've decided to connect your thoughts to, that's where you're going. We got to be careful. And Yahusha tried to explain it to us by telling us, a house divided will not stand. That was exactly the punishment and what Yahusha was trying to say to us. Thank you. I appreciate that, Lee, about that. That's a great word picture. I really do enjoy doing the word pictures. And I actually have a special treat. Hopefully I can get it accomplished, that during Sukkot, I'm starting a new show about some pictograph vocabulary words. And I'm going to be sharing just some vocabulary words that I think are important to put inside of our toolbox in the pictograph. So I'm going to pre-record that because I'm going to be at our Sukkot location, enjoying Sukkot with my friends James and Lee and Laura Lee and some other people that are coming to join us. And I'm so excited about that. I'm really looking forward to that. So anyway, I hope that this has been a blessing to you. I had no idea it would go on quite so long. I thought I'd do a quick broadcast, but of course there was nothing short about this one. All right. Well, I love you guys. And I pray that you are blessed, and I'm going to play this outro for us already. Bye-bye now.
Their journey began in Yasharel, but they were scattered across the face of the earth, each one with its own beats, and each one with its own rhythm. As the dry bones are being revived, the beat begins again at the heart of the tribe.